Her name was Chloe. We'd been best friends since we were teenagers. The kind of friendship that survives everything. Terrible boyfriends, university drama, long-distance stretches, even jealousy. Or so I thought. She was sunshine, the kind of person who walked into a room and made it brighter. Always quick to laugh, to forgive, to trust. I was the quieter one, more observant. I noticed details. And I noticed him long before I should have. Daniel. He entered our lives on a rainy Thursday evening. Chloe and I were at an art gallery opening, one of those free wine and horribly pretentious paintings nights that she loved. He was standing near the exit alone, staring at a piece titled Fragmented Truth. Chloe nudged me and whispered, "That's exactly my type." I rolled my eyes. You say that about every guy with a jawline. But she wasn't wrong. He was her type. Smart-looking, confident, with just enough edge in the way he dressed to seem interesting without trying too hard. Chloe made the first move. She always did. Within 10 minutes, they were deep in conversation. What surprised me was when he glanced at me, just briefly, and held my gaze for a moment too long. It was nothing, except it wasn't. They started dating immediately. Chloe was smitten, giddy, texting me day and night about how different he was, how connected she felt to him. And honestly, I was happy for her. She deserved someone who treated her like she mattered. Daniel was charming, generous, and thoughtful, at least at first. He remembered birthdays, brought flowers, and asked deep questions that made you feel seen. But then there were the in-between moments. The times when Chloe left the room, and Daniel would say something like, "You're quieter than her. I like that." Or, "You always seem to understand what I mean faster." They were small comments, almost harmless. Almost. I didn't take them seriously at first. But as their relationship progressed, so did our interactions. We started texting about Chloe's surprise birthday party. Then we texted about music. Then about books. Then about things that had nothing to do with her at all. There was this one night. Chloe was out of town visiting her sister. Daniel and I ended up on the phone talking about Tolstoy. Of all things. He said, "There's something about you that makes me want to talk forever." I laughed it off, said something sarcastic to change the subject. But my heart was pounding because I wanted to talk forever too. The proposal came quickly. Too quickly, if I'm honest. Barely a year into the relationship, he got down on one knee during a weekend trip to Italy. Chloe FaceTimed me in tears, holding up the ring like it was a trophy. "Can you believe it?" she squealed. I faked the excitement, told her I was thrilled, told her he was perfect, told her she was lucky. But inside, something twisted, and it only got worse from there. Wedding planning began. I was the maid of honor, of course, which meant long hours helping her choose flowers, venues, dresses. It also meant more time with him, more time watching him watch me, more time alone together when she stepped out of the room. We never said anything outright, never acknowledged the thing hanging between us like static in the air. But it was there, a slow burn I pretended not to feel, until the night I stopped pretending. It was a week before the wedding. Chloe had gone to her parents' house to finalize details with the caterer. She'd asked me to drop off a few things at Daniel's place. Ribbons, seating charts, some candles she wanted to use for the reception tables. I didn't plan to stay, but it started to rain. The heavy, relentless kind that soaks you within seconds. He invited me in, offered tea, turned on music. We sat down, talked, laughed, and then the air shifted. He leaned forward and said softly, "I keep thinking about how different things would be if we'd met first." I stared at him, heart thudding. "That's not fair," I whispered. "I know." But he didn't stop looking at me, and I didn't stop him. The kiss wasn't soft. It wasn't sweet. It was messy and wrong and completely inevitable. Months of tension erupted all at once. We couldn't stop, didn't even try. It happened right there on his living room floor. And afterward, naked, tangled in the aftermath, I didn't feel guilt. I felt still. For the first time in months, my head was quiet. He didn't say much, just lay beside me, fingers tracing mine. I asked, "What does this mean?" His answer, "I don't know." That should have been my answer too. But in that moment, I didn't care about what it meant. I just knew it had happened, and I wasn't sorry. I dressed in silence. He walked me to the door, but didn't kiss me goodbye. It felt like the closing of a door, and maybe the start of another. I expected a message, a call, a text, something, but nothing came. The next day passed in silence, and the day after that. I kept checking my phone like an addict, waiting for a fix. But all I got were texts from Chloe, excited and bubbly, asking if I could help her pack for the honeymoon. I wanted to scream. I saw him next at the wedding rehearsal. He greeted me with the same smile he gave everyone else. Cool, polished, controlled. His eyes didn't linger. His voice didn't crack. He spoke to me like I was just another guest, just her best friend. And I smiled. I joked. I helped organize the chaos. I was perfect, just like he was. And maybe that was the most painful part, realizing he could pretend it hadn't meant anything, while I was still carrying it around like a bruise no one could see. The morning of the wedding, Chloe was glowing, radiant in silk and lace, twirling barefoot in her dressing room like a little girl. "Can you believe it's finally happening?" she asked, eyes shining. I forced a smile. "You look beautiful." And she did. She looked perfect. So full of trust and love and hope. When she asked me to zip up her dress, I hesitated just half a second, but my hands didn't shake. I slid the zipper up her spine and said the words she needed to hear. "He's lucky to have you." She turned and hugged me. "I don't know what I'd do without you." That was the moment that broke me. Not the kiss, not the night on the floor, not even the silence after. That because I knew what I had done and she never would. The ceremony was stunning. An outdoor garden, golden light, soft music. She walked down the aisle with her father, and I stood at the altar, watching Daniel watch her. And I tried, truly tried, to see if he looked different, if there was guilt, conflict, regret. But no, he looked calm, present, almost proud. He said his vows like a man in love, held her hands like they were something sacred. I kept waiting for something, a flicker in his eyes, a misstep, a glance in my direction. But it never came. It was as if that night between us had never happened. And still, I didn't stop it. I didn't speak, didn't tear the moment apart with some messy confession. Because it wouldn't have been for her. It would have been for me. They kissed. The crowd clapped. The music swelled. And I clapped too, feeling like I was watching a movie I didn't believe in anymore. At the reception, I danced. I toasted. I posed for photos with fake joy, so convincing, I almost believed it myself. Daniel never once came near me for more than polite, distant words. When Chloe tossed the bouquet, I ducked out of the way. When they left that night in a shower of sparklers and laughter, I smiled with everyone else. And then I went home and cried until the sun came up. The weeks that followed were strange, quiet. Chloe was on her honeymoon, and I didn't hear from her much. Just postcards, blurry selfies, and wish you were here messages. I saw photos of her and Daniel smiling in Rome, sipping wine in Paris, holding hands on some white sand beach. And me? I was alone with a secret I couldn't unload. When she returned, nothing had changed. She invited me over, made cocktails, gave me a long hug. "I missed you so much," she said. "You're like my other half." I sat across from her on her new sofa, smiled, and listened to her tell stories about her honeymoon, like I wasn't dying inside. I wanted to tell her. I really did. I even rehearsed it in my head dozens of times. How I would start, how I'd cry, how I'd say it wasn't meant to happen, that I didn't plan it, that I was sorry. But the words never made it out of my mouth. Because once you tell the truth, it becomes real. It stops being something that just happened. It becomes something that defines you and her forever. And I didn't want to be the reason she couldn't look at her wedding ring again. So I stayed silent. I distanced myself after that. Slowly, carefully, I started saying no to dinner invites, took longer to reply to her messages, claimed work was overwhelming. She noticed, of course, asked if something was wrong. I said I just needed space. ... That I was figuring some things out. She accepted it because she trusted me, and I hated myself for it. Years passed. They bought a house, got a dog, took more vacations. Their life, on the outside, looked golden, like the kind of life you plan for in journals with rose gold pens. Sometimes she still texts me on my birthday, sends me photos of them in matching pajamas at Christmas. She always ends with, "Miss you." Always. And I always reply, "Miss you too." But I don't visit, I don't call, because the moment I see her, the lie tightens its grip again. As for Daniel, I haven't seen him in over 2 years. He never reached out, never explained, never apologized. I think about that sometimes, how easily he compartmentalized, how completely he moved on. And I wonder, did he ever think about it again? Did it keep him up? Or did it vanish for him the moment I walked out his door? I'll never know. But here's what I do know. I don't regret that night, because it showed me something I needed to see, not about him, but about myself, about the quiet hunger I had for someone to choose me, about how desperate I was to feel something real, even if it came wrapped in betrayal, about the lines I was willing to cross when I felt invisible. I don't regret the act. I regret the illusion I was living in before it happened. And I regret that Chloe, someone who trusted me with her heart, will never know the truth. Maybe it's better that way. Or maybe it's just easier. So now I sit here, in the flicker of firelight, finally saying the words out loud, not for sympathy, not for forgiveness, but because this story deserves to be told somewhere, even if it's just here, with you. Sometimes the worst thing we do isn't falling in love with the wrong person. It's pretending we didn't.